Hello, this is Tom from tdjacobs.com. I'm an evolutionary astrologer, an energy worker, and a channel. And right now I'm teaching the intuitive skills development class, level one, which is a tour of the chakras and a tour of one's life history. I call it intuitive skills development because in order to unlock our natural intuitive abilities, we have to go through our pains and fears and change our relationship to them, change what we think painful things from the past meant, change why we think that happened, and reorient from fear, pain, anger, resentment, disgust, bitterness, but fear, revenge, reorient toward compassionate acceptance. That opens the heart, that relaxes the mind, allows left and right to work together. Natural intuitive ability comes out. So as I go, I have 6 people in this current section, and the next one starts March 16th. Today's March 1st, and there's one spot left if you're seeing this and you're interested. And then I'll do another one in the summer, but there's one spot left for the Wednesday course, March 16th, for 8 weeks. So I think you can hear that. Okay. So one of my students wrote me a question, and it's such a good question. I'm typing out an answer to her, but I realize it's a bigger question. So I recently did this with a SoundCloud piece. One of my students sent me a question. I did a 15-minute SoundCloud thing. So we're in 6th chakra week, which is this one, the third eye. And here we have the left and right brain. Here we have intuition. Like third chakra is gut instinct, 6th chakra is intuition. And we have the ability to see clearly, the ability to see the reasons behind patterns in the 6th chakra. Symbolic sight, seeing a thing and its cause simultaneously, which is central to everything I do, the work I do with others as well as what I teach and this course, is seated here. Symbolic sight, seeing a thing and its cause simultaneously. That's how Carolyn Mace defines it. So my student sends me this question about crying things out and moving on. It's mentioned in this Carolyn Mace book that we're using, Anatomy of the Spirit, in chapter 6, and then she writes about the 2014 elections. She lives in Texas, and part of what was going on was an open carry legislation, and she had a concern before it started about certain kinds of things that could happen. And, thinking about violence, but she said, I'm not afraid to be shot. But she's like, I don't want to be bullied or intimidated. So then she lists a couple of things that did happen in Texas because of this. And then an personal experience she had of feeling somebody just standing too close to her and then turning around and seeing an open carried weapon. So anyway, so she writes, oh my gosh, where am I? So how do unarmed people fight with armed people? The answer is you have to choose what paradigm in which you live. One of the huge things that I teach regarding Pluto stuff and regarding empowerment in general is that we have to redefine what we think power is. Since before there were humans, when we're living as other primates in these tribal atmospheres, and even before that, a lot of Pluto stuff throughout history has been about survival issues. It's root chakra strength. Do I have enough resources? Am I strong enough to get the right amount of resources for me and my family, etc.? So we habitually tie power to external variables. If I have this much money, I can build a big house and a wall to keep the riffraff out, and I'll feel safe. It's kind of a ridiculous example, but if I have so much money, I know where food is coming from. I don't have to stress. So Pluto issues can be survival issues. Power issues have a lot to do with survival. So while she writes, I don't want to be intimidated or bullied, in her karmic history, in her etheric bodies, are going to be Plutonian experiences of being bullied and threatened, perhaps to the point of loss of life. This is true for all of us. We don't want to be bullied or intimidated, but a lot of things that come up during that time when we have that feeling in other lives can be really life-threatening or life-ending. So what paradigm of power are you going to live within? We tend to habitually tie it to external variables. If you like me, if I have connections, if I have this money, this property, if I have somebody I find attractive who finds me attractive, all these external variables about power, strength, what yields or breeds confidence is what I'm getting at. All the channeling I'm doing for the last decade or so with Ascended Master Jehuti, spelled Djehuty, also known as Thoth, Saint Germain, and Merlin, he constantly rings this bell, which is you have to develop an internal sense of power. You have to reorient what power means. So absolute, unflinching, unashamed self-awareness or self-knowledge, and absolute, unflinching, unashamed self-acceptance, self-love. In New Age circles, we talk about self-love all the time. You have to take care of yourself. You have to love yourself first. No one's going to love you until you get tired of hearing it. But here it gets straight into evolutionary astrology. Get straight into this symbolic language to understand why life is the way it is, why you're wired the way you are. Absolute unflinching self-knowledge and self-acceptance. It is self-love. If you know what fears you have, what fear buttons you have, then you don't have to wait for someone else to push them to show you that you have fear. All the same, it's the same with all the negative Plutonian emotions. Greed, fear, anger, rage, resentment, bitterness, jealousy. The list is very long of negative Plutonian things. Being power hungry, severe narcissism and egotism, power over, power under, obsession, all those kinds of things. Revenge fantasies, or actually carrying out revenge. All those things are negative Pluto. If you know yourself, you don't have to fear what's going to happen because you know that you have the right to make choices, and you can align what choices you make. You can make what choices you do based on what you will choose to align with. Do you align with fear, meaning parts of you will take that as potential license to be power hungry, greedy, revenge oriented, defensive, whatever, raging, angry, whatever? Or do you choose to align with love, saying, I am fully a human. I have all human potentials within me. All these things are true. Here's the key, I could do any of those things. You've been hearing me for years talk about the dog barking situation everywhere I live. This dog barking gets really bad, and I perceive that they are sensing me as a threat because everywhere I go, it happens. When I'm grounded and self-loving, it doesn't happen nearly as much. If I'm stressed, if I'm angry, if I'm whatever, if I'm fearful about time or money, numbers, it happens. If I'm resentful about what comes to me and I'm not grateful for all that comes to me as showing me that life is supportive because it's showing me what I need to see about myself so I can unwind, then it does happen if I'm angry and stressed out and wound up. But I've had to accept along the way this part of me that says, kill the dogs. This part of me that nonchalantly, casually accepts that the only way to really have peace and quiet is to kill each dog that has a barking problem or that is a problem through barking. And forget the grounded part of me that wants to be spiritual and wants to be healthy and says, oh, but the reflect. No. Just accepting this part of me that says that is the only solution. So I live with that part now, well, not daily, but then every few hours. And I have to say, okay, part of me believes that is the solution. This is not what I choose to do. And then I work with that part, but I don't shame it. I don't judge it. I don't hate it. So I know that I have a button. I don't have to respond to it when the button is pushed. I don't have to react against other people when that button is pushed. And yes, I could kill. I choose not to. It doesn't feel right. I imagine it and kind of select memories like most all of us do. It doesn't feel good. I don't want to invest in that energy or go down that energy pathway. It's my choice is not to. So I know what my button is, and I don't have to let other people push it. I do have reactions sometimes. I have angered reactions. Like I see the neighbors who own the dogs who are the problems, and the neighbors know and they don't care that the whole neighborhood is disturbed. And I do in my head call them bad names and don't say hi. And I have fantasies about vandalism. You might laugh when I say all this, but like I do. I do. I have fantasies about picking this one particular older couple who lives next door, who has this giant Doberman. They never walk the Doberman. The only time the Doberman goes outside is on this little walled-in patio, and it can't see anything, so it barks at everything. So this dog is emotionally fucked up. This dog is a mess. But I can't live with it barking outside all the time. So I got a little birdhouse thing that emits it looks like a birdhouse, and it emits a thing that humans can't hear but dogs can, and it confuses the dog, and it doesn't like the sound. It's not painful. It's just like, I can't think of a human correlate. Somebody whining or something. But anyway, it stops the dog. And so now there's more peace and quiet, and now the dog's life is harder, but I have to accept that this soul is on a journey of learning what limits are. But anyway, when I see those people, I hate them. Part of me hates them. So anyway, but I don't have to do anything about it. I don't have to call them names. I don't have to pick up all the extra dog poop that people leave on the street and all over the neighborhood because they're jerks, and smear it all over their house and cars. I don't have to, but I let part of me have this little fantasy because I'm not shaming myself for being angry. Anger is a response to pain. This is a key to Plutonian work, a key to self-knowledge, a key to owning power through knowing the parts of you who feel powerless. See, this part of me is hurt, and then I get angry because it wants to have the power to make myself not hurt. So, absolute, unflinching, unashamed self-knowledge. Look at the shadow. And I realize I'm like in this washed out space. If I do that, look at the shadow. But know who you are. Know what you're capable of. Realize, and this is central, that you could do anything. And then choose what feels loving. Nurture the parts of you who are hurt and angry and pained, and then choose what invests in a loving frequency. This is how you develop true power. This is a long, winding answer to my student's question, but it's germane. What paradigm of power do you choose to work with in? What lens through which do you look at power? That person has a gun. Does that mean that person's powerful? It depends on what you think power is. This person shot up a hotel lobby. Does that mean that you are powerless? Does it mean that the people who were killed or shot are powerless? It depends on what paradigm you live within. If you vibrate, I can make any choice, but I choose loving choices, and then you actually do it. You have an inner strength, and other people won't intimidate you. Not only are you not available for it because you are strong, because you know you could react in any way, but also your vibration will not draw people to intimidate you. This is probably one of the top 2 or 3 all caps lessons for me in this life. Having been intimidated, bullied, threatened, chased with a knife, that kind of stuff. Pinned in an elevator by a snarling baboon man threatening to kill me, this kind of thing. I've had this happen. If I'm vibrating that I'm afraid to make choices, or I don't know what I might do, or I'm afraid of parts of me, or I'm ashamed that I may have anger or pain or greed, whatever. If I'm afraid of my Pluto, if I'm shaming myself, I will draw negative stuff to me. If I know I can make any choice, but I choose to develop loving pathways within myself, then there's confidence. Nobody wants to play games with me. Nobody wants to threaten me. So how do unarmed people fight with unarmed people? They don't. They go inside. They develop an internal orientation to a new vision of what power is. Absolute, unflinching, unashamed self-awareness. Absolute, unflinching, unashamed self-acceptance. I could murder 70 dogs. Part of me wouldn't even feel bad about it. I could murder 1,000 dogs if they're noise hassles, if they're noise, problems. And part of me would not. I've just counted about 70 over the years that, that number is in my head from this part of me who's like, yes, we have a plan. The part of me actually, here's another detail here. A part of me actually has multiple plans on how to do it and get away with it. And that part of me would not feel bad. So I accept that a part of me has been so messed up from the violence of unending dog barking that it thinks this is a solution. I accept that humans, when they feel like they're painted into a corner, because talking to neighbors is meaningless, and calling the noise complaint authorities is meaningless. That's what we've learned. Me and my parts. So in that situation, it looks like I'm powerless. But I go inward, and I identify what's happening, and I change my mind about what's happening. But I accept that part of me still thinks that that's a good solution. And I still maintain that it's not. But I don't hate myself. I don't shame myself. I don't fear what I might do. This is a key to Plutonian stuff. I don't fear what I might do because I'm very in touch with what I choose to do and that I have the power to choose how I respond. So for my student, how do you, unarmed, fight with armed people? You don't. You remove yourself from that paradigm within your own consciousness. You upgrade things, and you choose to see things in a new way. From externally projected images of power, and then realizing you don't have that gun on your hip. Does that mean I'm powerless? Or that person's more powerful? Only in one 3D way that humanity has been cycling through for as long as it has existed. But here we are. We're at the cusp of a new age. And you can look at things differently. And this is empowerment. Self-knowledge and self-acceptance. Thanks for your time and energy. You can read more about what I'm up to at tdjacobs.com. This is the kind of stuff that we talk about in the Intuitive Skills Development Level 1 class. One more spot open for the March 16th section. It goes for 8 weeks, Wednesday nights at 6 p.m. Pacific for a little over 2 hours. Thank you. Bye-bye.